Hello lovely people, and welcome to part 2 of my unicorn/horse amigurumi tutorial. In this part of the tutorial we will crochet the neck and we will get started with the head. Honestly, I'm not sure if we will finish the head because I haven't finished editing the video at this point. So we'll just see how far we get, and then the third and last part will come out tomorrow if you're watching this on the day that it's released, or if you watch it at any later time, then just open the description box and there you will find a link to part 1 if this is the first video you come across, and to part 3 if you want to continue crocheting your unicorn or horse once finishing this second part of the tutorial. So without further ado, let's continue. So now we're going to crochet the neck out of this opening here. We still haven't closed the back, that's alright, we'll do that later. First we focus on the neck here. And the way we crochet the neck out of this opening is by crocheting in the 10 single crochet stitches here, and then in the 14 chains that we have here, we'll just crochet in the other side of the chains that we haven't crocheted in yet. And so we start here, we join the yarn in the last chain. So that's going to be this one here, if I'm not wrong. Just insert my hook here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then we pull the loop on our hook and pull that through. And now the first stitch that we crochet in is this first single crochet here. And I try to keep a tight tension here just so that there won't be a big gap in between here. And now we single crochet 1 in each of these 10 stitches. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Let me repeat this last one because I split the yarn there. That's 10. Okay, and now we single crochet in the other side of these 14 chains here. So this one should be the first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. The 14th is the one where we joined the yarn. So if you're unsure, because sometimes it's hard to see where the first one actually is, you can count like I just did to make sure you have 14 and you're not skipping one. So it should be this one, and you can catch 2 loops if you only crocheted in 1 loop from the other side. And so we single crochet 14 in these other sides of the chains. That's 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Here I only had one loop for some reason, and here as well, but that's okay. 14 goes, 14th single crochet goes in this chain where we joined the yarn first. And that's the first round of the neck done already. And in the next round we'll simply single crochet in all these 24 stitches. So we can just place a stitch marker in the last one and single crochet all around. So just one in each single crochet that we just made. You can pause the video here and play it again once you've completed this round. In round 3, we start with 5 single crochet. Three, 4, 5, and then we decrease. So in the center front here we make an increase, and now we single crochet in all remaining stitches, which should be, let's see, 17. So I just let you get on with this. You can pause the video and hit play once the round is complete. Before we continue, it's a good time to fill the front of the body a bit with fiber fill. We can always add more later, but if we want to fill these, just these upper parts of the forelegs, then now is a good time to do that more easily. So I'll just take very small amounts of fiber fill. And push them in the forelegs. You can also use the back of your hook if that's easier. And once that's done, I'll just add a little bit more fiber fill to the front of the body in general. But I leave some space so that I can more easily crochet the neck. Also with the neck, sometimes you want to stretch it a bit, just so that it goes in the right direction, so to speak. Like, you don't want it to go like too straight. We want it to go slightly upward here. So that's it for now. So now our round has 23 stitches, and in the next 2 rounds, round 4 and 5, we simply single crochet 1 in each of them. So once again, I let you do that, and you can pause the video here. And once you completed 2 rounds of 23 single crochet, you can play the video so we continue together with round 6. My 2 rounds of 23 single crochet are done now, and in the next round we continue decreasing slightly. So we start with 4 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, let's actually make that 5. I will change it in the pattern in just a bit. So we want the decrease to be in the center front, so that's why I'm making 5 single crochet. You can adjust it depending on where your beginning of the round is now. So here we decrease, and then we just single crochet in all remaining stitches. So for me that's 16, and once again you can just meet me at the end of the round and at the beginning of round 7. Now our round has 22 stitches, and the next round we begin with 4 single crochet. And once again we single crochet 1 in each of the remaining stitches, so that we'll have a round of 21 stitches now. So again, I'll let you do this in your own time, and we continue crocheting the last round for the next, for the neck next. Now our round has 21 stitches, and in the next round we decrease a bit more, and so we start with 5 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we decrease. The next 2 single crochet together, and we repeat this 2 more times. So 5 single crochet, 3, 4, 5, and decrease, and 1 more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and decrease. And that's the round done. So now we have 18 stitches. So that's the last round for the neck. It will look more extended later on when we sew on the head, like the top side at least. And that's what we are going to crochet next. So we just leave a long yarn end now for sewing. Pull it through, and then it's time to start crocheting the head. So for the head we use the same yarn color, and we begin with a magic ring. So just use your preferred magic ring method, and then we start with 6 single crochet in the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then we close the magic ring. Again, I don't close it very tightly just yet, so that I can easily crochet in the first stitch. And in round 2 we increase in all 6 stitches, so that will end up with a stitch count of 12. So that's 1 increase, 2 increases, 3, 4, 5, 5 and 6. So in round 3, first of all I tighten the magic ring a bit more. Now in round 3 we decrease a little bit, but first we single crochet in the next 6 stitches. So this little stitch here is the first one. Let me now place a stitch mark in the last stitch. 2 single crochet, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and now we decrease 3 times in a row. So that's 1 decrease, second decrease. Let me do that again. There we go. And a third decrease. So now we have a stitch count of 9, but in the next round we'll increase again. So we start again with 6 single crochet. So now the first stitch is this one here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So now we have 3 stitches remaining and we increase in all of them. So 2 single crochet in the next, then 2 single crochet in the next, and 2 single crochet in the last stitch. So now we're back to 12 stitches in the round, and we keep increasing in the next round. So we begin with 3 single crochet, 1, 2 and 3, and then we increase in the next stitch. And we repeat this 2 more times. 1, 2, 3, and increase. And 1 more time. 1, 2, 3, and increase. So now our round has 15 stitches, and in the next rounds, which are round 6 and 7, we simply single crochet in all 15 stitches. So I'll let you do that in your own time. You can pause the video here and hit play once you completed the next 2 rounds of 15 stitches, 15 single crochet. My 2 rounds of 15 single crochet are done now, And in the next round, round 8, we continue increasing. So this time we start with 4 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and increase in the next stitch. And again, we repeat this 3 times all together. 2 more times. 4 single crochet and 1 increase. And 1 more time. 4 single crochet and 1 increase in the last stitch. So now our round has 18 stitches, and in the next round we single crochet in all 18 stitches, so I'll let you get on with that. So once again, you can pause the video and hit play once you crocheted in all 18 stitches for 1 round only this time. Now in round 10 we continue increasing, and so this time we single crochet in the next 5 stitches. 3, 4, 5, and then we increase in the next one. And once again, you may have guessed it, we repeat this 3 times all together. So 2 more times. That's 5 single crochet and 1 increase. And once more, 5 single crochet and an increase in the last stitch. So now we have 21 stitches in the round, and this time we crochet again the next 2 rounds of all 21 single crochet. So around, let's see, 11 and 12 we single crochet in all 21 stitches that we now have. So once again, you can pause the video here and hit play once you've completed the 2 rounds of 21 single crochet. So my 2 rounds of 21 single crochet are done now, and in round 13 we start decreasing. So in this round we start with 5 single crochet, and then we decrease. And as with the increase rounds, we repeat this 3 times all together. So that's 5 single crochet, and 1 decrease. There we go. And once more, 5 single crochet, and we crochet the last 2 stitches together. So that's the last decrease. So now our round has 18 stitches, and we pause on crocheting for now, because now before we close the head, it's a good time to insert the safety eyes. So now it's time to insert the safety eyes. I'm using 7mm safety eyes for this size horse or unicorn. So I used the size E hook, the 3.5mm, and Aran or worsted weight yarn. But when I made this one, I used DK or light worsted weight yarn and the 2.5mm hook, which is a size C. And for this horse, I used 5mm safety eyes, just as a reference for you. So now let's find the right placement. First, let's secure our stitch here. I haven't done this yet. And now let's figure out where the chin is, so to speak. So wherever we made these 3 decreases here in round, I believe it was round 3, that's like the bottom side of the head, and then the opposite side is obviously the top of the head. So this is how we can determine that. So we want this now to go to tilt slightly. I'm not sure if tilt is the right word. It points slightly downward. That's what I mean. So this must then be the upper side. And so that's what we can look at to determine where to place the safety eyes. So I'm trying a placement between round 9 and 10, I believe. So let's see, let's just count. That's round 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm gonna try this one here. I just widen the gap between stitches carefully without damaging any of the fibers. And you can do this if you're very careful. It doesn't matter. You can still remove the safety eye and place it somewhere else if you don't like the placement later. Once we look at it again. So let's just go from here. So then with the other horse, I left about 5 stitches space. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so it would go somewhere here. That's actually 6 spaces, but the 6 stitch will probably be covered by the safety eye. So just looking to see how it looks. We can always change it. So I think that's not bad. So looking at it from both sides, I think that's a good placement. Yeah, I think I'll keep it that way. So they are placed for me in between round 9 and 10 of the head, and there are slightly more stitches in between than 5, like 6-ish, but what you can, like 5 full stitches, because the 6th one here is covered, and then here that's not really a stitch. So something like that, like 6-ish stitches space in between. So I would just go with what looks best. And now I don't secure the eyes yet, because first I'd like to make the eyelids. Now I'm just seeing, I think this is a slightly different shade. I was hoping this other skin is exactly the same shade. It's not, but I think it's close enough. I made a commitment to use my yarn stash up, or almost at least, before buying new yarn. So that's what I'm working with now. It's okay. So if you have the same color yarn, that's perfect. And so we thread the yarn on our yarn needle. You don't need to cut it yet, you can just see how much you need. And now we're going to stitch on the eyelids. So I start here, I go inside the head and then stitch through very close to the eye, wherever I would like the outer corner of the eye to go. So maybe here, so toward the back of the head. And I don't stitch through in between stitches, I stitch through the fibers. This way I have more control over where the stitch goes, because in between stitches the needle just wobbles around and so does the yarn. So we really stitch through the fibers, and now we find the other side of the eye. So somewhere here, wherever we want the inner corner of the eye to be. So let's see, it's maybe it's a bit too far up. Somewhere here, and here I'm again careful not to stitch through in between stitches, but really catch the fibers of the yarn to properly control where my stitch goes. And then we pull this tight and make sure that it goes under the eye like this. So that's the lower eyelid done. Now we stitch through again somewhere here. You can stitch through the same spot or somewhere close. Maybe I don't go through exactly the same because I'm a little bit concerned with messing up the stitch I just made, because my yarn is so splitty. Although I like working with it, it can split easily. So somewhere here where you want the outer corner of the eye to be, that's where you stitch through again to make the upper eyelid. And now again on the opposite side, somewhere here, find a spot where the inner corner of the eye should go. They can also slightly overlap, maybe that will look nice even. So maybe I'll go through somewhere here. Carefully pull that through. And that's the upper eyelid done. And with my other horse, I think I made 2 stitches for the upper eyelid. But with this one, I feel like this is already enough because the yarn is different. It's kind of covers more of the eye. So I think this 1 stitch is enough already. And so I just leave that. I'll just cut that shorter, and then I just tie the yarn ends together. Oh, so now I can also cut off the other yarn end. And now I tie these together inside the head. So if you move the knot down if you guide it with your index finger, you should be able to make a double knot. And that's the eyelids done. We repeat all this on the other side, and then we can secure the safety eyes. So I've done the same on the other side, and now we can go ahead and secure the safety eyes. So Be careful with the embroidered eyelids when you do that, so as I'm saying that, I squished this one in under the safety eye. That's what I mean. If it gets under there, it may be difficult to get it out, or it gets messed up somehow. But okay, it's all right. Now the other side. Okay, that worked better. So now that this is done, we can fill the head. So all these yarn ends that we have, we can hide in there. And then we take small portions of fiber fill because we want to make sure that the snout is filled first. So I just use the other side of my hook to push that in. And then once you reach the safety eyes from the inside, make sure that there's fiber fill all around them so that the head won't lose its shape. Just like that. So we still have the chance to add some extra filling if needed before we completely close the head, but for now, let's continue crocheting. We only have 3 rounds to go. And so in the next round, we start with 4 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we decrease. So while I'm crocheting, I just push the fiber fill in with my middle finger, just so that it doesn't get worked in the stitches. And once again, we single crochet 4. And then we decrease. And single crochet 4. And decrease once more. So now our round is down to 15 stitches. And we continue decreasing in the next round. So this time we single crochet 3. 1, 2, 3, and decrease. And we repeat this 3 times all together. So 1, 2, 3, and decrease, and 1, 2, 3, and decrease. And I'm out of yarn, so I'm joining a new piece of a new skein of yarn here, but don't worry about that. You just continue with the yarn you're using. And so now we only have one round to go, so this is the last chance to add some more fiber fill, and that's what I'm doing. By the way, if the eyelids we just made, if they split, if you have quite split yarn as well, I just added a drop of glue. I just put it on a pin, so I just push my pin in the tiny tube of super glue and just gently shape the eyelid in the way I want it. So that's something you can do if it doesn't look the way you want it, or if it doesn't stay in the if it just that moves and doesn't stay the way you want it to look. Just a tiny drop of glue. So I think I can squeeze in a little bit more. Just making sure that it's nicely filled evenly. A little bit more. I think that's enough. And so our round has 12 stitches now, and we will decrease 6 times in a row. So that's 1 decrease, take your time with the fiber fill. You can easily get worked into the stitches. It's 2 decreases, three, 4, 5, and 6. So that's the last round done. Now we don't need a long yarn end here because we'll use the long yarn end of the neck to sew the head on. And these yarn ends here, oh, they are just my yarn ends, you don't have them. Just hide them inside the head. Should have tied them together though. That will do. But in the meantime, you can go ahead and thread your yarn end on a yarn needle. So that we can close the round. So we go through the front loops of all 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, close it, and now we go through the center of this last round, and I stitch through somewhere close, somewhere where I think the neck will go, so that it will be hidden. Just push or pull the yarn and then push this back of the head a little bit so that it evens out. And now we can weave in this yarn end. So again, I'm trying to weave somewhere here where the neck will go, just so that these stitches won't be as visible, or won't be visible at all. Although of course you can always follow the stitch pattern to make them less obvious. But here I have some fiber fill coming out, for example, so if I can, I always pick a spot where another body part goes, or something that will hide it. Then we just cut it short, and that's the head. It still looks a bit funny because it still needs ears, of course. And we also embroider the nose and the nostrils, I mean, and the mouth. So I would say let's do that first. So let's first embroider the nostrils and mouth. And for this I'm using the large-eyed sewing needle because I'm using black embroidery floss, and that is thin enough to be threaded on a large-eyed sewing needle. This just gets more easily through the stitches because, as with the eyelids, I want to make sure that we stitch through the fibers and not in between stitches. And a thinner needle makes that easier. So let's start with the right nostril, or left one. From my perspective, it's the right one. So I just find a spot somewhere on the outside of the first round, and I just stitch through to the center of the second round here. Just making this up as I go because I haven't done it yet with the smaller horse. I was hoping that it's easier with this one, the embroidery part. It can always be a bit tricky. It's not always easy to get that right. So I just want to make like almost a I don't know, like a not a V shape, like a very broad V shape, maybe I can call it. So it's actually more, I'm stitching a triangle now, but this angle of the triangle, this side of the triangle won't be visible. And now we see why it's easier with thinner needles. So if you have pliers, small pliers, you can use them to pull the needle out. I try without, but they are helpful. So now I stitch back here just to connect this line with this line, and so I kind of repeat this stitch. So I stitch through there where I came out the last time. Got some 2 extra fibers, just stitch back through them. And yeah, I think that's what I was going for. So now I just go under this stitch and kind of wrap the thread around it twice under this one. This just makes the stitch more bold and kind of rounds it a bit more rather than being like a V shape. And I do the same with this other stitch. Wrap the yarn around it twice by going under it and pulling nice and tight, and that's it. So with this yarn, and this is now too short to do anything else with, so I just stitch through here like where I started, right there, and just somewhere to weave that in. So my needle is not long enough to stitch any further, but that's enough. And then I just cut this in short and squeeze it a bit so that it disappears inside the head. So that's the first nostril done. I also show you how I do the other one, because the tricky part is usually to get them look the same, and I won't be able to do that. But I try my best. So now looking at it from the front, I just stitch through to the other side with the eyes level so that I know how to keep the nostrils level as well. So maybe here, always trying to stitch through in between the fibers. So now I'm again on the outside of round 1, and I stitch through somewhere in the middle. No, I think I start a bit further down here. So you can always correct if you don't want to start here, just stitch through, and that's where it will go. Let's try this spot. Yeah, that feels, it seems better. So now I'm really on the outer side of round 1, and my first stitch goes somewhere in the middle of round 2, and it goes slightly upward, so like this. And then the second stitch will go slightly downward, and it's about the same length. Goes somewhere in the middle of round 3, so somewhere like this. Let's see how that turns out. So far so good. And now this time we work the other way around from the front backwards. So now I'm stitching through here and under this first stitch that I made. So I kind of make the same stitch. There we go. Just this time it won't be visible. So now I have my broad upside down V shape. At this point we can check and see if it looks somewhat like the other side, and it won't exactly because we haven't done the wrapping around part yet, but I think the placement is close enough. Let's just see how it looks once we finish it. So now again we wrap the yarn twice around each stitch, so 4 times altogether. Twice we wrap it around this first stitch by going under it and pulling the thread through, and then twice we do this with the other stitch. One more time. Okay, and I think it's good enough. It's not easy. So now we can straight go and crochet a little mouth. So I just stitch more than 1 stitch wide, like 1 to 2 stitches underneath here, underneath the nostril. And now we just want the mouth to go like this. So we just do this with a few stitches, back stitches again. So I just try to make a straight line like this, but in several stitches. So 1 small stitch like this, and then I go where before came out and stitch a little bit further, pulling that through. And sometimes it helps pulling the thread out again if it's not really doing what you want, like if the fibers split and don't look even. That can help. I pull those stitches nice and tightly because I don't want them to be as bold as the nostrils. So now I stitch through again, like where before my needle came out, and again I stitch a little bit further this time coming out there. Pulling nice and tight, and now we want to almost get to the level of the nostril. I think we already are. So I could have stitched a tiny bit further. Just correct this. That's it, that should be enough. And now I just stitch back where I came out before when doing this 3rd stitch, and stitch all the way back to where I started. And now, in order to make this look more like one line and not 4 little stitches, I again wrap the thread around each stitch, but only once, because I don't want this mouth to be as bold as the nostrils. So 1 wrap per stitch, that's 1. This is 1 under the 2nd stitch, and then I go straight under the 3rd stitch. Ooh. and straight under the 4th stitch, and somewhere here where I made the 4th stitch, I stitch through again, and again I just stitch through somewhere as far as I can. So I need to squeeze the face a bit. I'm so sorry. So that's it. Okay. And that's the face embroidery done. So now we can cut this one short. And so this marks the end of part 2 of my unicorn / horse amigurumi tutorial. Like I mentioned in the beginning, if you're watching this on the day that it comes out, then part 3 will be released tomorrow. But if you watch it at any later date, you can click right there on the video that I'll put there and continue with part 3 whenever you're ready. Thank you so much for crocheting with me, and see you over there. Bye!